Congratulations on taking an important step towards improving your health, and I want to welcome you to the webinar. We're going to get started in just a few minutes, so type in where you're from and what you're hoping to get from this training, and I'm going to try and answer all of them. Thanks. Thanks for the information. Wow, you're coming from pretty far away, some of you. Great, great. In any case, detox is a word that gets thrown around pretty freely, and a lot of what's called detox really isn't, or at least it isn't a safe version. After this training, you're going to know what a detox is, why you need to consciously do a cleanse at least a couple of times a year, and what it can do for you and those that you love. I'm Dr. Lavelle, and I've been a plastic surgeon for over 20 years. I love helping people like you meet their outer physical goals with surgery, but for years I've been unable to treat issues like resistant fat loss, fatigue, and joint pain, and this was just frustrating. After some personal health challenges forced me to look at my own nutrition and lifestyle choices, I found functional medicine, a comprehensive way of identifying and actually managing chronic conditions that other providers may not be able to. So how many of us on the webinar have actually heard of functional medicine or had some experience with it? Type it in the chat box. I'm not surprised. I often get a lot of blank stares when I say functional medicine. Although I really believe this is the way healthcare is going. For now, another way we can look at functional medicine is to call it personalized lifestyle medicine, because it looks at everything that you do, how you eat, move, live, and love, all in a holistic way. And that's because everything you do has an impact on your life. Everything. Anyway, before we go into why we need to do a cleanse at all, let's answer an easy one. Why spring? First, how many of you have spent the last 3 to 4 months cooped up inside your house or your office because it was too cold to just be outdoors? I mean, even my dogs didn't even want to walk outside some days. So between the lack of movement, sunshine, fresh air, and then the added insult of heated air and other people's germs, your body has been working overtime to stay healthy. And we want to clear that winter sludge now that the days are finally starting to be warmer. The downside to warmer weather is the increased allergen load. Well, I used to love to blow on dandelions. They cause quite a bit of discomfort to those of you who suffer from hay fever. Flushing your system with a cleanse and getting started on the right foot for the warmer days ahead is priceless. Now, how many of you are familiar with Ayurveda? This ancient Indian teachings focus on self-healing with foods and herbs and lifestyle changes, and the practitioners are very keen on following the seasons for food and practices. Spring is the time for cleansing, body, mind, and soul. So now you have 3 reasons already for doing a spring cleanse. What are some of yours? Is it symptoms like fatigue or joint pain? Do you just want to get a head start on dropping a few pounds before summer in a healthy way? It may seem almost miraculous that you can see a big difference in the way you feel and look in such a short period of time, but your body can do amazing things when you give it the support that it needs. Okay, now you may be wondering what an iceberg has to do with a detoxifying cleanse. Think of this iceberg as what's going on in your body. The part of the iceberg that's visible represents the symptoms and issues you may be having. Fatigue, brain fog, joint pain, bloating, weight gain. Fun, right? But the most larger part of the iceberg is below the surface. These are the actual root causes of what's happening in your body on the surface. So for instance, one of the things you may be experiencing is chronic migraines. That's the symptom above the surface. You may be used to treating the migraine with pain relievers. You may even rest and use relaxation techniques. But the cause of your migraine could be any one of lots of things: magnesium deficiency, hormones, stress, exposure to toxic chemicals, and this is just a few of them. These are called the root causes of the symptom, and it's only when you treat the root cause that the symptom really gets better. Doesn't that make sense? Today we're going to talk about the root causes of many of our symptoms. It's also the main target of detoxification, and that's inflammation. We're going to go into inflammation and why it's so important to address in just a little bit. But for now, let's look at some of the things in our environment that can cause inflammation in our body. First, if you live in a city, it doesn't take long to notice all the toxic chemicals that surround us. Factories, smog, engine exhaust are pretty clear and graphic examples. But you don't even have to go outside. Unless you eat primarily organic produce, the food you eat is often laden with pesticides and may be genetically modified. Packaged and fast foods have unhealthy fats, sugars, and carbohydrates that keep us inflamed, overweight, and addicted to their taste. Let's go into our bathrooms next. Take a guess. How many personal care products does the average woman use every day? 5? 10? 15? How many of those are truly safe? And the most personal cause of inflammation, chronic ongoing stress. You probably already knew this deep down, but being in a chronic fight or flight state wreaks havoc on your body's hormones. Think about being chased by a tiger for 10 hours a day. Imagine the combination of mental and physical fatigue. That's what being in an ongoing stress state is like. It affects each and every aspect of your day-to-day life. Your digestion, reproduction, elimination, productivity, even your thought. This is because your body doesn't want to waste energy on things that aren't going to affect its survival. And now that we know that it's no good for us on a steady basis, let's talk a little bit about inflammation. Have you ever twisted your ankle and it got really painful and swollen? That's inflammation. It's a good thing in that case because even if it does hurt, because those inflammatory cells and chemicals allow your body to heal faster. As we just mentioned though, you wouldn't want your body to stay in that inflamed condition. Your body is wise in that it has molecular messengers that either calm or excite the body and put them either into the rest and digest mode or the fight or flight one. We're not made to stay in either mode forever, but Westerners have tended to live more on the high adrenaline, high cortisol state. Now just remember that everything that you eat, drink, breathe, do, and even what you think has an effect on your body and your life. You're either going to make yourself more or less calm, more or less inflamed, and more or less healthy every day. So what do I mean by more or less healthy every day? Scientists are realizing that many of the common health conditions that we see today are actually related to high levels of inflammation in the body, and that if you control that inflammation, you may significantly improve or even wipe out the undesirable condition. Just look at some of these up here. These are just a few of the conditions that are now recognized to be related to inflammation. Is it starting to be clear just why we need to control inflammation in our bodies? So now, looking at all of those above, do you still believe that joint pain and fatigue are inevitable, just a result of us getting older? They aren't, and you don't have to accept not feeling your best as the years go by. Just in case you're thinking that inflammation is only an annoyance, only a walk in the park, here are some of the more serious conditions that have also been shown to be related to chronic inflammation. Are any of you suffering from these, or do you know someone in your family who is? Decreasing inflammation in the body can have a profound effect on your life or those of your loved ones. So are you ready now to know how you can start to do this? At Premier Wellness, my goal is to make it as easy as possible for you to make choices that lead to improved health and well-being. Because after all, that's the only way that you're going to start and stick with them. I'm not going to show you some complicated system that you can't follow. I'm also going to show you how to make the changes that are best for your body. Learning how to feel as great as you look should be as simple and fun, and so I like to break it down into 4 pillars: eat, move, live, and love. Taken one step further, you're going to learn how to eat well, how to move more, how to live wisely, and how to love divinely in a way that's personalized for you. We'll be touching on all 4 of these in the cleanse, so just remember them for now. Now, what exactly is personalized wellness? Well, obviously it varies depending on the client because it's personalized, but basically if you maximize what your body needs, minimize what's harmful, which is going to vary from person to person, and prioritize what your body needs to heal, Whether it's more sleep, less stress, or a massage, you're going to eventually find your way to your own wellness. Rather than choosing the default, the road that can lead to chronic issues for years to come, now is the time to make some conscious choices over the next few weeks to start down a better path. You signed up for this webinar to learn if it's really necessary to detox or to cleanse the body. You now know that we are bombarded with toxins every day, and that those same toxins cause inflammation that results in chronic illnesses and conditions. So we're ready to answer that question now. So do we really need to detox? Whoa, yes. And to get you started in the right direction, I'm going to be leading a detoxifying cleanse over the next couple of weeks. Hey, so I promised that we would go over detoxification, so now here we go. How many of you have gone through customs at an airport or a border? Type in yes or no. Okay. Well, in any case, a busy border airline can see thousands of visitors every day, and most get through, right? But when there's a problem, the flow stops and the invader is escorted away from the country. Same thing in your body. Your body sees millions of chemicals and substances every day. Some exogenous, which means from outside the body, like pesticides, and some endogenous, from within your body, like estrogen and other hormones. When you signed up for the webinar, I also promised you that I would tell you the top 3 organs of detoxification. There are 3 of the 9 in this picture above. Can you guess? Type it into the chat. So up there you've got the brain, the heart, the stomach, the liver, the lungs, the spleen, the kidneys, that skin, and the eye. So if you guess liver and kidneys, you're absolutely right. We'd be in big trouble without our liver or to package toxins and our kidneys to flush them out. So what's the last one? Okay, that's kind of a trick question since it's both the brain and the skin. In any case, we need them all. If the bad guys aren't being escorted out of the body eventually gets overloaded with them. So guess where they go now? One of your body's favorite storage places is fat. This means that not only will you be releasing toxins into your system when you lose weight, but that same toxin buildup can result in your body making more fat cells. Hello, stubborn weight gain. Usually, this toxin buildup is slow over time, 1 bag of Doritos or 1 cigarette at a time. Although the damage is not as dramatic as if you were in a nuclear explosion, it can be nearly as traumatic to your body over time. Let's look in a little more detail at some of the ways that we're exposed to toxins every day. We talked a little bit about this before, but this is just a reminder in case you think you can avoid being exposed to toxins. You really can't. What's also an issue are the items you use every day that act like estrogens in your body. So you've got to start reading labels. If the advertising has any of the catchphrases you're looking at right now, it's likely that the chemicals you don't want in your body are involved. Remember too that one man's food is another man's poison. Just because your Aunt Sally has been smoking for years without developing lung cancer doesn't mean that you can. Be smart and avoid known toxins whenever you can. I'm not going to go too deeply into the biochemistry of detoxification tonight, but I want you to know that in the liver there are basically 2 stages. The first, where fat-soluble toxins begin the process and actually become more damaging to the body, and then the second, where those intermediates are turned into water-soluble compounds that we then excrete. The issue is that most of the processes we do on a daily basis only get us through stage 1 of detoxification, leaving us in a worse state than when we started. Okay, I know I said I wouldn't go too deeply into the liver pathways, but I just have to give you a brief overview of what's involved. And there's evidence to show that there are several other phases of detoxification as well, before and after what you're seeing right now. All of this is just to make clear that the liver's role in detoxification is critical and that you need to support it as much as possible. And not only that, you need to support it in the right way. So what are we going to do? Remember I said we were going to learn how to maximize, minimize, and prioritize over the next couple of weeks? Well, let's look at that one by one. If we're going to maximize what our bodies need, we need to be eating nutrient-dense, anti-inflammatory foods and give our liver support. You saw how complicated that was just then. We've got to be able to support our liver in the way it needs. Next, we need to minimize what's harmful. So these are the common allergens like gluten and dairy and eggs, and stimulants like caffeine and sugar, and opioid-like foods like the fried foods and the trans fats, all of those. We're also going to prioritize what your body needs. You're going to start reducing that stress. You're going to get lots of good sleep. You're going to drink buckets of clean, good water, and we're also going to have daily bowel movements. I know it sounds kind of mundane, but you don't want to store those toxins. Once you're releasing them from your body, you don't want to store them in your body. You want to get rid of them. Okay, now let me set one big fear to rest. You are not going to starve. Let me repeat that another way. You will not be overly hungry. Instead, what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks is ridding ourselves of the toxins we just talked about. We're going to be minimizing that bad stuff. Then we're going to maximize the good by eating nutrient-rich superfoods and supporting detoxification. While we do this, we're going to prioritize our self-care by decreasing stress levels, gently getting sleep, and moving. This is not the time to run a marathon. It's also not the time to do a cleanse if you've been really sick recently or had major surgery. In other words, don't put your body through any more stress if it's already stressed. And yes, a detoxifying cleanse is stress to the body. We're going to take the fork in the road away from those inflammatory foods that we've been eating and the hectic lives we've been living to enjoy 10 days of eating beautiful, healthful, nurturing foods and self-care. Okay, so let's go through the 10 days of the cleanse together. Number 1, no processed, packaged, or refined foods. You're going to be eating fresh foods for the entire 10 days. Now, it may be kind of difficult when you first start, but as the days go by, it'll get easier and easier, and usually by the end of that 10 days, your taste buds have changed, so you actually enjoy eating the fresh foods. Number 2, we're going to eat lots of those antioxidant fruits and vegetables like blueberries and the cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower. You're going to love those. Now, you may not be as fond of the third one, no stimulants. That means no sugar, no caffeine, nothing of those things that you usually think about pepping you up and getting you going. No stimulants, really. We're going to avoid the common food sensitivities like wheat and gluten. We just talked about some of those. We're going to reduce the difficult to digest foods. So even though healthy proteins are good for you normally, for these couple of weeks, we're actually going to be stepping away from all meat and dairy, things that are really a lot more difficult to digest. We're going to support the detox pathways with the proper nutrients that we just talked about. We're going to drink a lot of water, daily bowel movements. So if you're not used to going every day, you're going to need to do something to make that happen. And by make that happen, what we want you to do is maybe drink more water, get more movement in, perhaps even maybe take a supplement like magnesium citrate, not sulfate, magnesium citrate, which will help those bowels move a little bit better. Because as I mentioned before, we don't want those toxins staying within the body. And then last, we're going to get stress reduction and some really good sleep. I'm not going to go over too much with the problems with sugar. I mean, you can read these yourself. But some things you may not realize is that sugar can cause heart disease. It can increase your triglycerides. So a lot of people don't think of when they eat sugar that they're actually messing up their fat metabolism as well. It also interferes with calcium and magnesium, which are two important nutrients for our bone and for other parts of our health. We know it contributes to obesity, but it can also increase your headaches and fluid retention. So we're just going to step away from that altogether. The other big inflammatory food we're going to avoid is gluten. This is a protein that's found in foods like wheat and barley, but also other foods and drinks that you may not even realize. Now you may know that gluten can cause serious problems with your digestion. The problem is that just like other causes of inflammation, it can also cause joint pain, brain fog, and fatigue, among other things. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about the serious condition that we call celiac disease, but a sensitivity to gluten that many people aren't even aware of because the symptoms they suffer from don't seem related to the food that they just ate. Now, unfortunately, even foods we think of as good for us can also be inflammatory depending upon our individual bodies and how the foods are prepared. So fried chicken is a lot more inflammatory than the grilled chicken above, don't you agree? But if you saute that chicken in olive oil, which can also become inflammatory, you may end up with a pretty inflammatory meal anyway. Another thing would be the nuts that we have in this photo. I mean, nuts are known to have some great nutrients that are really good for us, but for someone with a nut allergy, we're talking dangerous inflammation. Okay, so it's finally time to get into the cleanse itself and how to prepare for it. Now, although the cleanse itself is 10 days, we're going to ease into it and ease out. So after you register with the link below, starting tomorrow, you'll begin to wean yourself off of the bad stuff that we just talked about. Now, although you could jump right in on May 2nd next week, you'll find that by preparing yourself both mentally and physically, the cleanse itself will go smoother. We want to take this slow and low so you don't send your body into a more stressed state. You'll also want to order your medical food and supplements so that you can have the proper nutritional support for detoxification. Now, what are these two supplements? The OptiCleanse GHI is a medical food that supports your liver and GI tract and has antioxidant and detoxification capabilities. So now I know if you've ever tasted some detox products, you're going to be pleasantly surprised at how good this one is. It uses monk fruit extract instead of stevia or, gasp, sugar. MedCap's DPO is designed to be part of our comprehensive detox protocol that includes adequate high-quality protein, carbs, fats, and fiber. Now, this is going to result in giving us enough of the micronutrients we need to support the active phases of detoxification that we just talked about. It's also going to help with our energy production so we're not going to be tired during this detox, use of amino acids, and elimination. You're going to want to order these right away if you want to have them in time to start the detox next week. So what else is in the 10-day program? You're going to get a detailed day-by-day food plan because I don't want you to have to think or worry about what you're going to be eating over the course of those days. As I mentioned, we're going to be ramping into it and ramping back out of it. So the first few days you'll be eating more of and a wider variety of things. Those central few days is going to be fairly narrow but still very filling. You're going to eat more than enough, so don't worry about it. We're not even looking at quantities. You eat as much as you want so that you're not hungry at any time. You're going to be eating those specific medical food and supplements we just talked about. And then what most of the people really, really enjoy is the private Facebook page that gets daily support from me. So I'm going to be on there every single day. Ask me your questions, tell me what's going on, let me know how you feel, if you feel great, if you don't feel not so great, if you need some help, and also you'll get the support of others in the group along with you. And then finally, we'll have a daily stress relieving practice, and so that by the end of the whole cleanse, you'll have 10 different practices that you'll be able to use whenever you're feeling stressed out. Okay, so enough of what we're going to be actually doing. What are you going to get out of this? Well, most of the people that go through this have wonderfully improved energy. They focus better. They have less bloating if they do tend towards that anyway. Less joint pain, improved moods, and most of my clients and patients have up to about 7 pounds or more of weight loss over those 10 days. And this is a safe weight loss, not just trying to lose a little bit of extra water weight. So this is what you can expect over the next couple of weeks. Remember, I promised no starvation. I do this specific cleanse myself, and I feel as if I came back from a good vacation afterwards. You're going to find that you weren't even aware of how you weren't feeling your best until you do. So, let's recap. This 10-day cleanse is $79 and is going to include a detailed day-by-day food plan, what to eat, what not to eat to get the most benefit. You're generously allowed foods and recipes because who wants to eat the same thing every day? A private Facebook page with daily support from me, a mid-cleanse webinar to go over what's been working and what may be an issue, and also any other questions you may have, and that daily stress relieving practice. So as I mentioned, by the end of the cleanse, you'll have 10 really good practices. Just click the link you see and you'll get registered tonight to get started. You'll also get 2 very helpful bonuses to get you started on your health journey. First, a downloadable PDF on how to eat well, with 8 simple tips that can make a big difference in your health. The second is going to tell you the dirty dozen, the top produce this year that are the most heavily treated with pesticides. Now these are the ones you should eat, the organic varieties, if at all possible. The other, the clean 15, are those fruit and vegetables that, if you had to choose, are okay to eat standard varieties. And to the first 5 who register tonight, you'll receive a chance to review and personalize your ongoing nutritional plan with me directly. This way, not only won't you have to guess what to do after the 10 days are over, you'll have an excellent foundation for your ongoing health. Now that alone is worth more than the investment in the program. So what exactly are you going to be doing? You're going to start backing off of caffeine and sugar starting tomorrow. You're going to wean off of alcohol that you may be drinking, artificial sweeteners like sodas and things, and any processed foods that you're eating. This is going to make the actual cleanse itself a lot easier and smoother for your body. So here's the link again for the cleanse. Remember, you'll start preparing tomorrow, but the cleanse itself starts next week, Wednesday, May 2nd. That gives you time to prepare, get your supplements, and shop. Just go to the link and register today. There are a limited number of openings so we can have a nice customized experience. And feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Speaking of questions, here are a few that we did receive during the webinar and even earlier. Number 1, do I have to do the cleanse on the days listed? No, you get the outline of the days and what foods to eat. You can start and finish whenever you like, but you'll have more support if you do it within the rest of the group. What if I'm on certain medications? There are a couple of groups of medications that you may wish to be cautious about. Now, blood thinners and potassium-sparing diuretics are 2 of them. This is because the foods that we're going to be eating these couple of weeks have good amounts of vitamin K and potassium. The vitamin K may change how your blood thinners are metabolized, while the potassium may rise to unhealthy levels if you're on a diuretic that spares them. Now, while these don't absolutely preclude you from doing the cleanse, you may want to let your primary care physician know your plans before you start. Okay, is this cleanse appropriate for a vegan, a vegetarian, or a paleo fanatic? Okay, this is a short-term plant-dense program that is appropriate for all types of plans, perhaps except maybe not keto right now. It is excellent, however, for getting your body prepared for any and all other nutritional bends afterwards. How do you get the supplements and medical foods? These products are from Zymogen, and you would need to use the link in your download email in order to order them. So as I mentioned, you will get an email as soon as you register. That email is going to have all of the details and information about how to get the supplements, and you'll also learn what foods to buy and start getting prepared for next week. So once again, here's the link for the cleanse. It is $79 and does include the detailed day-by-day food plan, the recipes so that you don't have to eat the same thing every day, the private Facebook page with daily support from me, the daily stress relieving practice, a mid-cleanse webinar, and then those bonuses we just talked about, especially that special one for the first 5. Most important, though, is what you're doing for your own body and how you're going to feel in just a few weeks. I am so looking forward to sharing this journey with you, and I'm really excited to see the changes you're going to experience. Thank you for joining me, and have a wonderful night.